Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone is trying to sell you something? A trip, a washing machine, a phone, or a career choice? Something you didn't really wanted or needed, but somehow felt pressured into buying? And the moment you stepped out of the situation, you immediately started resenting and regretting your decision? Well, I've been there too. And honestly, I hate the feeling of being manipulated. Who doesn't, right? Everyone wants to have a sense of control and agency over their choices and decisions. And to protect that power, we need to become aware of our cognitive biases. Those blind spots that manipulators love to take advantage of. So in this video, we're going to explore the science behind cognitive biases, how they can affect our lives and our choices, and some practical strategies to outsmart anyone wanting to exploit our vulnerabilities. Hi, I'm Nisreen, a transformation strategist and a certified coach who's worked with large tech companies for 18 years. On this channel, we explore strategies and tools to help us live life more intentionally and achieve our dearest dreams. In this quest for intentional living, it's crucial to understand our cognitive biases and close the door on manipulators who could take us off our path. Let's get started. First, it's important to understand the science behind cognitive biases. Cognitive biases are essentially mental shortcuts that the brain takes to make sense of the world and also act quickly. They evolved to help our ancestors survive in dangerous environments where quick decisions could mean life or death. Our resources being limited, these shortcuts help us optimize them and get quickly to our destination. The problem? These same shortcuts can work against us in today's complex world, especially when others are deliberately exploiting them, using our lack of resources, our fears, our desires, or our beliefs. Let's look at 5 key biases that manipulators commonly target. The first one, the anchoring bias. This is when we rely too heavily on the first information we receive. Retailers usually use this by showing you a high original price before revealing a sales price. Even if the sale price is still high, it seems like a bargain compared to the original price, the anchor. You may think you're making a good deal, but actually you're paying for the real value you're getting, or even more sometimes. The scarcity bias. When we think something is in limited supply, we value it even more. Only 2 rooms left at this price. Limited time offer. This creates artificial urgency that bypasses our rational thinking. That's what we see a lot on seasonal sales. And because of these 2 biases, we end up spending money we didn't want to spend and buying stuff we didn't really wanted or needed, which is at the end money and energy that we don't spend on the things that we really do want. Social proof bias. We tend to follow what others are doing, especially in uncertain situations. Phrases like best-selling or most popular tap into our tendency to trust the crowd. And this is what we see with the rise of social media. Everybody wants to travel to the same places, wear the same clothes. Places are crowded, but we still comfort ourselves by thinking people seem to enjoy it, so we will be enjoying it too. Loss aversion bias. We feel the pain of loss twice as strongly as the pleasure of gain for something equivalent. That's why don't miss out messaging is so effective. It activates our fear of loss instead of promoting actual benefits. Hence FOMO, fear of missing out, being activated so strongly with Instagram, since everyone is sharing what they are doing, their vacation, their nights out, their purchases, and we start feeling FOMO for things we wouldn't have chosen in the first place. Sunk cost fallacy. This is the one I see the most in my day job, being made by big companies. And actually, we do the same in our lives. This is our tendency to continue investing time, money, and resources into something just because we've already put too much resources into it, even when cutting our losses would be better. We've already invested too much in this project, and even though we don't know how much is needed to finish, we don't want to stop investing. Or this concert ticket cost me so much, and even though the forecast is really bad, I still need to go. This is the sunk fallacy in action. Now that we've looked at these 5 biases, let's see how they can affect our lives and our choices. Cognitive biases don't only affect what we buy, they can also affect what we believe, how we relate to others, and even who we think we are. And because they operate beneath our awareness, we often mistake biases for intuition. Let's look at some areas where biases can quickly but strongly affect our lives. For example, our relationships. We might stay in unhealthy or unfulfilling relationships not because they are right, but because we've already invested too much time and effort into them. It's the sunk cost fallacy. We've been together for 5 years, I can't leave now. This can also play out based on how others would perceive it. A mix of social proof and loss aversion. In our careers, we sometimes follow the crowd, taking the job that everyone wants, or chasing roles that look impressive on paper but actually don't align with who we are. That's social proof and anchoring bias pushing us, of course. Or we might say yes to things we don't really want just because they seem like a limited time opportunity. That's scarcity bias in disguise. For our personal growth, we might avoid taking courses, launching a new project, or trying something new. Not because it's wrong, but because stepping into the unknown feels risky. Our brains are wired to protect us and keep us in something familiar that seems less risky, even if that familiar place is holding us back. Loss aversion makes us fear what we might lose more than what we can gain. And that's not helping us achieve our goals and our dreams. The problem when we are not aware of our biases is that we persist on our choices even though we know deep down they are not right. So we unconsciously try to save face with ourselves and with others, and we try to justify our choices and look for confirmation to deal with the discomfort. This discomfort is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance was coined by Leon Festinger in 1957 in his book A Theory of Cognitive Dissonance. He states that when we hold two conflicting thoughts or when our actions don't match our beliefs, it creates a psychological discomfort that we don't know how to deal with. So when we experiment this inconsistency and this discomfort, we are motivated to reduce it, either by justifying our actions or even changing our beliefs. And this is the danger of cognitive biases, because the cost is not only financial. Every time we make decisions based on these hidden biases, rather than our authentic needs and values, we give away pieces of ourselves, our authenticity, our integrity, and our self-respect. And over time, this can lead to a profound disconnection from our lives and the rise of anxiety and stress. And down the road, taking us off track from meeting the goals and dreams that are really true to us. Cognitive biases are tricky because they are automatic. But the good news is, with awareness and practice, we can definitely minimize their grip and protect ourselves from being exploited by those who know how to push those mental buttons. So to empower ourselves, here are some practical strategies to outsmart any manipulation attempts from ourselves or others less well-intended. Cognitive biases are hardwired into us, but that doesn't mean that we are powerless. If we practice a few intentional habits, we can create a mental buffer between our impulses and our decisions. The first one, create a decision pause. Before saying yes to a purchase, a project, or a person, pause. If someone is pressuring you to take a decision right now, that's your signal to take a breath. Time gives your rational mind a chance to catch up with your emotional triggers. So ask yourself, am I reacting to the urgency or is it a conscious choice? Personally, whenever I feel pressured in a store, I ask the salesperson to give me a moment and I will reach out to her whenever I'm ready. Second, set a personal decisions rules. Establish personal rules that acts like guardrails. I never buy something the first time I see it. Or if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. I sleep over any decision over 100 euros or more. Depends on you. These tiny personal systems help filter the noise and prevent any reactive behavior. Third strategy, slow down the story. If you're telling yourself everyone is doing this, stop and ask yourself, who is everyone? But more importantly, what's my reason for wanting this? It's also important to have your own goals already set, to know what you really want, what's important for you. And having those written down help you avoid being pulled out by any desire triggered by what other people are doing. If you want to work on that, check out my previous video on how to set goals and actually achieve them. Label the bias. If you recognize it, name it. That's scarcity bias. Here comes social proof again. You instantly create distance between you and the bias itself. Because awareness is empowerment. Analyze your behavior. On a regular basis, reflect on the last decisions you've made, big or small. Did you follow your values or did you act out of fear? Were you influenced by someone else's urgency, status, or opinion? What do you want to do differently next time? This practice builds your decision-making muscle, and over time you will spot bias in real time. And remember, the goal is not to become perfect. Nobody is. It's actually to become aware and more intentional about your choices and the life you're living. Our today world is full of noises, but when you understand how your mind works, when you learn to see the invisible strings, you start cutting them one by one. You start living less on autopilot and more on purpose. Because the goal is not to become too skeptical or not to buy anything anymore, but actually just to be more intentional about what you're doing and investing on what you really want. Because intentional living is not about controlling everything. It's about choosing what's yours and let go on what's not. If this resonates with you, leave me a comment on cognitive biases that you've catched. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay grounded, stay intentional, and stay true to yourself. Bye! Our vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities? Vulnerabilities. Our vulnerabilities. 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 Oh, I can't make it. Cognitive biases are essentially mental. Okay.